Shalawam, Yasher Allah. I'd like to begin by saying I want to give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, whom I worship. Double honors to my elder apostles, great millstone, who taught me this word in sincerity and in truth, and who rule well, and are still pushing this word on the highways and byways, man, so that they may receive their crowns of salvation. A hearty salutations to the hopeful elect throughout the world who are doing the same, pushing this word so that they may receive their crowns of salvation. All right, we're getting closer and closer. Also, peace, salutations, and blessings be to the great cloud of witnesses of Yasher Allah out there throughout the whole world who are watching and believing and calling upon the name of Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. May the Lord bless you and yours, grant you salvation at the end, deliver you from the great fire to come. Yeah, so there's a lot of news out there, man. You know, two articles grabbed my attention on RT that I'm gonna go into, and it surrounds and deals with prophecy. Of course, that's what we deal with. We at GMS we at GMS. It sounds like a commercial, right? We at GMS specialize in prophecy. All right, that's what we specialize in. We're prophecy specialists. All right, so let me just go into one of the articles. And as always, like I always like to say, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that the YouTube algorithm could push this word even further. All right. Now, this is one of the articles here on RT that I saw that grabbed my attention, because my thing is, and this is the reason why I always come to RT. RT stands for Russia Today. And I'm interested in what's happening with Russia today, and I'm interested with what's happening with America today. Why? Because America is Babylon the Great, mentioned in the Bible. Okay. Russia in the Bible is Magog, that's mentioned in the Bible and in prophecy. All right. And these two mountains, these two top world governments, are gonna go head to head, all right, pretty soon. And what's gonna happen is that they're gonna come against each other, and destroy one another, as well as the land of Israel, which is our land. The Lord is gonna totally eradicate those imposters in that land, because that's our land and they don't belong there. All right, they stole that land and they know it. See, so, and that's the Most High. Overall, that's the Most High's chosen holy land that He chose out of all the lands on this planet Earth. All right, and He gave it to His chosen people, which are we, right? The so-called Negroes, so-called Latinos of Negro Indian descent, so-called Native American Indians, so-called Seminole Indians, scattered throughout the whole world. We are the chosen people that belong in that land. And right now, our enemies, and that's prophecy. When you go to the book of Ezekiel, the 36th chapter, it tells you our enemies possess it right before our face, So the time is going to come where they will be removed, right? Until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. That's, Yahweh Shai had mentioned that, or said that. So that time is we're very close to that time. All right, so there's going to be a lot of prophetic events to take place before the destruction of Babylon the Great, before the Great War. There's going to be, a lot of things, a lot of prophetic things taking place, such as the mandating of the chip. Okay, that's why we always talk about it. That's why we're always looking out for any news that has to do with the RFID chip, man, because that's ultimately what gotta come before the end comes. So yeah, so let me read a little bit into this article. If it's not a long article, I'll read it all. But you know what I do? I just put up the links down below in the description box, and you could check it out for yourself. You know. So let's read it. So the title of the article reads, "Moving U.S. troops closer to Russia's border is necessary to ensure collective security," Pentagon claims. Now check this out. This picture here is heavy. The picture is showing a Jake, all right? A Jake, man. In his military fatigue, you know, and he's coming out of a barrack or whatever, and just a lot of Israelites, man, who are in the military, man. And the U.S. is gonna use Jake as always, as they always did, and put them in the front lines, man, so that they could get killed, man. Okay. You know, a lot of you Jakes are stupid as hell for joining the military. You have no idea what the hell you're doing there, man. Or you have no idea what's about to come down. It's the Third World War. All right? And once they ship your ass out, you will not come back, man. All right? So um Jake in this world, man, that's why we say two-thirds of our people. And when I say Jake, I'm talking about of all the tribes. Y'all know that. And these people, they're stupid as hell, man. Okay, they believe everything that the so-called white man says, man. Okay, to go fight for, you don't even know what you're fighting for, man. All right, to join the military, it's a military industrial complex. It's a global scheme, man. The United States military is joined with the rest of the militaries of the globe, man, of the world. Okay, they are all one battle. They're all down with part of NATO, and you know, so it makes no sense for you. Oh, another thing is, if you are in the United States military, when they start really mandating these RFID implantable microchips, guess who's gonna get these first if they don't already have them? All right, yeah, the military personnel. So altogether, you are damned. You are doomed, according to the scriptures, man, for taking the mark of the beast, man. If you believe in the Most High, hey, if you're watching GMS videos and you're out, you're enlisted already in the military and you're watching, and you haven't received the RFID chip, I implore you to get the F out. Get the F. Do what you can, man, to get out of the military, man. Okay? Don't worry about if you get dishonorable, how you say it? Dishonorably discharged. Don't worry about that. First of all, there ain't no honor in the so-called white man's military. There ain't no honor, man, in that wicked ass, being a part of that wicked ass army. All right? It's more honorable for you to leave that army and get down with the real army, the spiritual army, which is the army of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, man. Join the ranks amongst the prophets and teachers and believers, man. All right, that's more honor, because in the last day, when the Heavenly Father comes, when Yahweh Shai comes with Michael and all the angels, and when they come down, man, they seen that you have kept the faith and you did the right thing, man. You've been out there. You've been out there on the line, man, on the highways and byways. That's gonna seal your ticket to be saved, man. You and possibly your family. So think about that. If you're in the military, man, and I don't care what branch of the military you in, if you believe in the Most High, then get the hell out. Time is running out. We're getting too close. You know what I'm saying? So, but if you love your master, and you wanna serve him and be all that you can be, then by all means you do that. But I'm gonna tell you right now, at the end, you will get burned up. All right. and you will be cursed by the Most High, man. Okay, and in the kingdom, you're gonna be amongst those who are gonna be ashamed for what they have done on this side, man. All right, you can read about that in the book of Daniel, it's the 12th chapter. Okay, beginning at the first verse. So they're showing a Jake right here, man. You know, and Esau loves to use Jake to do all manner of wickedness, man. Okay, and this is one of them. You know, that Jake right there, you got no damn business being in Esau's military, man. All right, so let me read on. It says criticisms of the U.S. troop reduction in Germany are unwarranted. Mark Esper has said, claiming that many of these forces are simply being relocated further east in order to serve as a more effective deterrent against Russia. And why? Well, I have another article queued up to give you the reason why. I mean, to let you know why they're doing this. All right, it's because Russia said fuck the U.S. dollar, man, and fuck the U.S. altogether, man. Excuse my French. All right, they don't want to deal with anything that has to do with America anymore, man. Okay, why? Because America, you can't trust America, man. You know, America will make a deal with a certain nation, man, or a certain people, and then turn around and break all the agreements and treaties that they have made. They've been doing that shit. They were doing that to our brothers Gad, man. You know, to the Gadites and Reubenites, man. Well, mainly Gad. Reuben didn't take no shit. You know, like Reuben, they were like the unconquered, man. You know. So yeah, so they made a lot of treaties with God, and then they just broke them all, man. So you can't trust it. You can't trust a snake. You know what I'm saying? You cannot trust a damn snake, a devil. They speak the white man's words are lies. You know, the white man speaks with a forked tongue. In one breath, he's promising you the world, and in the other breath, he's setting up ways to kill you, man, and take everything you got. It says the Pentagon chief said in an interview with Fox News that military personnel leaving Germany would be put to better use once they are stationed along Russia's border. Yeah, man, and that's the Lord working right there. That's the Lord, man, because the Lord's gonna put it into all the nations' minds, man, to get into this last war. All right, we are moving many troops further east, closer to Russia's border, to deter them, he said, adding that moving troops eastward is only logical because the border has shifted as the alliance has grown. He also accused Germany of not paying its fair share for defense, noting that NATO ally was still, and NATO is the beast, that the NATO ally was still the largest recipient of U.S. troops. It is collective security. It is about our collective responsibility to stand up to the Russians, which is Magog, Esper argued. I might as well just read the whole thing because it's not that much. It says the Pentagon is planning to withdraw a third of its forces stationed in Germany. The troops will be redeployed across other NATO countries, including Poland, Romania, and the Baltic states. Could also receive a boost in U.S. forces, Esper said. The defense secretary has been vocal about his belief that NATO members should be coughing up more cash in order to deter Russia. And I believe that was the main reason why they created Russia. I mean, excuse me, why they created NATO was to go against Russia. You know, it says the defense secretary has been vocal about his belief that NATO members should be coughing up more cash in order to deter Russia. He even suffered an unfortunate gaffe in one of his recent sales pitches after stating in a speech that sharing the alliance's financial burden would help avoid peace in Europe. Yeah, so that's one article there that I wanted to go into, which is prophecy, because the Lord is going to start to stir things up, you know, stir the pot up, man, of contention between Russia and the U.S. and the NATO member nations, man. Okay, so that way the stage will be set for the Third World War. All right, so let's get the other article, and then we'll get some scriptures. Okay, so this is the other article here. Okay, dealing with Russia, man, just abandoning the U.S. dollar as a reserve currency, or to be used even in trade, man. Okay, because at one time the U.S. dollar it was powerful. The value of the U.S. dollar was it was big. It was a lot. You know, it had some kind of great value to it, and now it doesn't. Why? Because it's backed by nothing. It's not backed by gold. It's not backed by silver. So they print these things out of thin air, and they're worth shite. So it reads, right? Goodbye greenback as they abandon dollar in trade. Russia and China could create financial alliance, leading Russian expert says, and I believe that. I believe that, man, because all nations know that the U.S. is the great enemy, man. So that's gonna happen, and what's gonna happen is America. You see, America is just like the Roman Empire. America has spread herself out too thin. America has spread her filthy legs too wide in this earth, man. Like the whore that she is. Okay, and so what's gonna happen is all of America's enemies are gonna come against her, man. Okay, even the ones that are in league with her, right? And they be confederate with you, right? The scriptures talk about that in the book of Obadiah. What's that? Jeremiah, the 49th chapter. All of America's excuse me, all of America's friends, so to speak, are gonna come up against her, man. And we're living in those days. Okay, it's not only gonna be Russia. Russia is the main key figure we focusing on, because the scriptures talks about Magog and its armies, and the nations that are in league with Russia or with Magog are gonna come and attack Babylon the Great, man. Okay, and the land of Israel. So that's why we're focusing on that. You have to focus on that when dealing with prophecy of the end times, right? It says Moscow and Beijing's ditching of the U.S. dollar, and this is serious. The U.S. has come against many nations that have tried to move away from the dollar as a reserve currency, and then America attacked them, man. Okay, for example, you had Saddam Hussein in Iraq, and you had Muammar Gaddafi in Libya. Okay, both of these two kings had one thing in common, and that was they wanted to begin their own, I think, gold standard or gold-backed currency, and ditch the U.S. dollar, man. So the whole world, and this is part, like I said, like I always like to say, these nations that have taken the United States dollar, all right, the United States GDP as a reserve currency, that's part of the drinking of the wine of America's fornication. All right. And what they did was, by them taking that, they have taken upon themselves a curse, and now they're trying to get out of it. And now they made a deal. Pretty much they made a deal with the devil, and now the devil has come up to claim their payment, so to speak, man. So it says Moscow and Beijing's ditching of the US dollar could result in the creation of a financial alliance, according to a top Russian analyst. Alexei Maslov believes the partnership is approaching a breakthrough moment. Maslov, director of the Institute of Far Eastern Studies at the Russian Academy of Sciences, predicts that Russia-China de-dollarization could lead to the two nations forming a de facto fiscal alliance. And I believe that they're going to go ahead and be successful with this, because the Lord is going to create this, have this happen, so that it could be one of the reasons why, or one of the reasons to start this last war. All right. The collaboration between Russia and China in the financial sphere tells us that they are finally finding the parameters for a new alliance with each other, he said, speaking to Japanese publication Nikkei Asian Review. In 2015, the share of the American currency in bilateral transactions between Russia and China was at 90% and now sits at just 46%. The gap has been filled by trade in euro, 30%, and the national currencies of the two countries, 24%. The share of euro, rubles, and yuan is at an all-time high. And look at this. As I'm scrolling, this is another article on RT. Bye Benjamin. Russia and China speed up de-dollarization process. Most trade no longer conducted in greenbacks. Ooh. That's heavy, man. So it's the end of America. It's the end of Babylon the Great, man. We're living in some interesting times here, man. Because of this reason, or this may be one of the reasons why this thing could pop off, man. All right, Lord willing. It says many expected that this would be a military alliance or a trading alliance, but now the alliance is moving more in the backing and financial direction, and that is what can guarantee independence for both countries, Maslov said. Russia's de-dollarization policy began back in 2014 as a result of Western nations imposing sanctions on Moscow over its reunification in Crimea. China joined in with a move away from the greenback a few years later when US President Donald Trump declared a trade war against Beijing. In 2014, Russia and China agreed to allow direct access to each other's currencies, signing a currency swap deal worth 150 billion yuan, and that equals to 21.5 billion US dollars. Since then, the Russian central bank has cut its dollar assets by more than half and acquired a quarter of the world's yuan reserves. And what the US gonna do? Russia and China are powerful nations, man. You know what I'm saying? The US, they gotta tread lightly. They gotta tread lightly. They gotta walk on eggshells, man. All right, because these are superpowers, man. See, the U.S. back in the day, and you know what? And the smaller nations like North Korea, they can't fuck with them, because they're like, look, man, we got them. You use the missile as a how would you say, a gambling chip, right? To try to threaten. Back in the day, they try to threaten nations with the missiles, right? Because the nations knew of what they did to Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which they got to pay for that. Okay. The Japanese haven't forgotten that shit. So they can't do that anymore, man. And that's why we're going to go to, well, I was going to get Isaiah the 14th chapter, but I want to stick more into the subject of Magog, man, and Babylon the Great. So let's go to the book of okay, this is the book of Joel, the 2nd chapter and the 20th verse, right? And it reads, "But I will remove far off from you the northern army." And what's the northern army talking about? Magog, man, Russia. That's what it's talking about. Okay? It says, and this is prophecy, man. This is prophecy of the times that we're living in now. "But I will remove far off from you the northern army, and will drive him into a land buried and desolate." That land that's buried and desolate is the land of Israel today. Today. And why is it barren and desolate? Because since the Lord removed his people, which is us, out of that land, the Lord cursed the land. Okay? That's why when these people, Amalek, when they went up in there, they the Ish, when they went up in there, they had to bring in the kibbutz. They had to bring in artificial like grass and trees and stuff like that, man. You know, because that stuff wasn't there. It was pretty much like desert. Okay? And that land of Israel is one of the most, or used to be, one of the most fertile lands out of all lands of the planet Earth, man. Okay? That's why the Lord chose that land for a reason, you know. But it's been cursed because we went off. We went against his laws, statutes, and commandments. So the Lord said, look, I'm going to curse this land. I'm going to remove you, take you out of my land, scatter you throughout all the nations of the earth, man. You know, because you violated my laws, statutes, and commandments that I told you not to do. It says, "But I will remove far off from you the northern army, and will drive him into a land barren and desolate, with his face toward the east sea, and his hinder part toward the utmost sea. And his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he hath done great things. Fear not, O land. Be glad and rejoice, for the Lord will do great things." Right, because the land of Israel, the Lord is going to have Magog, who are the Russians, burn it with nuclear bombs. But the Lord is going to rejuvenate the land because of this fire. And then ultimately he's going to clean that land, okay? It's not going to be radioactive as long as America will be. You know, the Lord's going to allow Israel to allow us to go back into our land eventually. You know what I'm saying? So that's why the Lord said, you know, fear not, O land. You know, speaking to the land itself. Be glad and rejoice, for the Lord will do great things. Right? The great things that he's going to do is rejuvenate it back to the way and better from what it was in the ancient times, man. Okay? Be not afraid, ye beasts of the field, for the pastures of the wilderness do spring. For the tree beareth her fruit, and the fig tree and the vine do yield their strength. Yeah, after the fire burns it up, burns that land up, man. All right, and burn the wicked up that's in that land. And in our land, the Lord's going to rejuvenate it, man. All right, rejuvenate the ground, rejuvenate that land to make it yield forth fruit. All right, like it once did, going back to the Garden of Eden, man, and better. Right? It says, "For the tree beareth her fruit, the fig tree and the vine do yield their strength. Be glad then, ye children of Zion." So who are the children of Zion? Anybody who believe in Jesus. No. The children of Zion are the children of Israel, okay? All right? Those who are physically and spiritually belonging to the nation of Israel, to the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, man. Okay? And rejoice in the Lord your power, right? The Lord our power, his name is Yahweh. and we worship his son, all right, who he sent to spill his blood for us, right? He died and resurrected for us, okay? We worship him, and we're gonna rejoice at his appearance, man, when he comes to deliver the elect, man, from this destruction that's coming. Be glad then, ye children of Zion. We are the children of Zion, all right, and we are glad. We're rejoicing now because we're getting closer and closer to this, to the end of Esau's world and the beginning of Jacob's world that followeth. All right, it says, and rejoice in the Lord your power, for he hath given you the former rain moderately, and he will cause to come down for you the rain and the former rain and the latter rain in the first month, right? Because these different systems of rains helped us out with our crops, man. All right, and let us receive good crops, man. So we praise the Lord for that, man. So we're gonna go back to that. You know, we're gonna go back to having crops, man, and lands and farms and all that stuff. The only thing is, we're not gonna be the ones cultivating it. We're just gonna be over these nations, over these crackers, man, over Esau and the other nations. All right, and we're gonna have them as our slaves, and they're gonna cultivate our lands, man. Okay. So now we're gonna go to the next verse, next scripture dealing with prophecy of Magog and Babylon and stuff. Right? Let's go to the book of Revelation, the 20th chapter. This is the book of Revelation, the 20th chapter, and the 7th verse, right? And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, right? The prison was when the Lord had Esau, Edom, ran them up into the mountains, man, to the Caucasus Mountains and to the caves of the earth, right where they belong. And you know, after that period, Esau started to become more cultured and civilized, because the dark nations, Israel and the other dark nations, taught them how to be civilized, man. You know, at one point they kind of were. You know, when during the time of Jacob and Esau, Esau came up under the law of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, but they didn't want to follow the laws of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, just like Cain. Okay, that's why the Lord cursed them, man. That's why the Lord cursed the serpent, cursed Cain, cursed Esau, man. Because they were wicked. Their heart didn't follow after the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, man. All right, and it says, and when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, which he did, man. He deceived them, man, by putting up himself as being the Most High, and his son and the angels and the Israelites always have his face. They have these Bibles, these picture Bibles, and everybody in that picture Bible, they're all white. You know what I'm saying? White supremacy, man. Okay, they deceive the nations by telling the nations that to use the United States dollar as a reserve currency will help them out, make them stronger, make them richer. And they lied to them, man, because they knew they was backed by nothing, man. Okay, and now the nations are like, man, you deceived us, and now we're gonna burn your ass up. All right, it says and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth. Gog and Magog, that's Russia, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. So Russia's military is as the sands of the sea, because they got the other former Russian nations that are gonna come back to them, as well as the union with China and the other Turkey. Okay, they're in the scriptures, man. Okay, as Meshach and Tubal. All right, in the book of Ezekiel, the 39th chapter, the 38th and the 38th chapter, it says that they were going to be a guard unto Meshach and Tubal, man, and as well as other nations, man. All right, and they're going to gather themselves together, all right, to join battle, to lock horns with Esau, known as the United States military and the Israeli military, man, and whoever else is joining with them. And it says, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. And they went up on the, and this is prophecy, and they went, this has not happened yet, man. And they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints about. Right, the camp of the saints is talking about the land of Israel. The saints are not in that land, okay? We've been removed and scattered throughout all the earth. All right, now you may have, you know, a few sprinkles of our people within there, within these people, all right, or amongst these people, you know. If there be any of the elect within that land, well, they will be delivered, man, if it's the Lord's will, right? It says, and they went up upon the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints. Who are the saints? The Israelites. Why did it say compass the camp of the saints? Because our camp is the land of Israel, okay? And the beloved city, right? The beloved city, Jerusalem, all right? And fire came down from the most high of heaven and devoured them, right? That fire that came down was both the chariots shooting down fire, and also ultimately the thermonuclear missiles, because the Lord gave these nations the technology to create, to harness the power of the sun, man, in these things called warheads, man. All right, warheads. Like it says in what's that, Revelation, the 6th chapter, 9th chapter, I believe. It says, and they had heads, and with them they do hurt. So that's what's gonna happen, man. Anybody who is at ground zero in the land of Israel and in America, which is Babylon the Great, at that time, they are gonna be in pain. All right, it's not gonna be no quick death, man. All right, they're gonna be in pain. All right. And Magog, which is Russia, are going to be one of the main nations to do this, all right? Now let's go to the book of Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, in the first verse. And it reads, and the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against them. And that's what we're doing. We're out on the highways and byways, and we're doing what the Lord told Ezekiel to do. We're prophesying against all these nations, telling them what they're supposed to do, their job. We're telling them what's their job, man. Okay? We're like the production managers of a factory, and we're telling these nations what they're supposed to do. You're supposed to start getting ready for the last war that's to take place, man. Okay, that's what we're telling you. We're the prophets, and we're giving you the message of the Most High. All right, so you leaders of Russia, if you're listening to this, start preparing your armies, okay, for the great battle, for the last battle that you read about in the Bible, in the book of Revelation. All right. You other nations, Turkey and the other nations, get yourself ready. Start getting ready. All right. This is the Lord speaking through us, telling you to do your job. Start getting ready for the last battle. All right? And stop playing games, man. It says, and the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, which that's the land that is known as Russia today, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. Meshach and Tubal today would be considered the area known as Turkey, the land known as Turkey, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith the Lord power, Behold, I am against thee, O God, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. Right, the Lord's going to turn them from this bullshit democratic political government that they are in now, and turn them back to their communist ways, man. All right, that's what it means to put hooks in their jaws and pull them back into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, meaning all their military vehicles, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Persia, right, Persia, that's who is that? Iran. Iran is going to be joined with them. Ethiopia, the Ethiopian government is going to be joined with them. Libya, the Libyans are going to be joined with them. All of them with shield and helmet. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters. And these people that Gomer, Togarmah, Meshach and Tubal, those were names of the children of Japheth. All right, the children of Japheth. And so it's talking about not the children of Japheth, but those lands that were named after the sons of Japheth. All right, and the nations that are living there today. Right, it says Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. So Russia is to be a guard unto all these other nations, man, and smaller nations. And they're all going to gather together to go down into the land of Israel, man. After many days, thou shalt be visited in the latter years. We're living in the latter years now. Thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword. Right, the land of Israel and the land of America. Okay, because they're both the same. America is just a satellite of the land of Israel. Okay, and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste, but it is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. That's talking about us. We're going to be out of all, wherever we were scattered to, we're going to be, gathered and brought into our land, the land of Israel, in the kingdom, and then we're going to dwell safely, man. All right. See, when you read the prophecies, sometimes they kind of jump a little, but that's what it is, man. We're going to be delivered, from the destruction that's going to take place here, and then the Lord's going to bring us to some kind of neutral area until our land is built back up, and then we're going to be brought back into our land. Okay, ultimately that's the Lord's plan. All right. Verse 9, thou shalt ascend and come like a storm. Talking to the Russians and what they're going to do. Thou shalt ascend and come like a storm. Thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands and many people with thee. Thus saith the Lord power. It shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest. That's talking about America. That dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates. That's talking about the land here, America, the United States, which is Babylon the Great. To take a spoil and to take a prey, to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited. Ultimately, it's saying that they're going to shoot their missiles at America. To take a spoil, to take a prey, to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, right? Because America is the great melting pot, right? It has people from all nations here, which have gotten cattle and goods that dwell in the midst of the land. Okay. So I'm gonna stop it there. I'm gonna stop it there because, you know, technically this whole chapter is good to read, and running into Ezekiel the 39th chapter, man. You know, so definitely read these chapters because they're prophetic, tying in what's going on nowadays, man. All right, because we're living in the latter times, in the latter days, man. So so I hope, like always, man, that this was edifying. Keep your eyes on the prize, man, which is the kingdom, of course. But now, keep your eyes on what's going on with Magog, which is Russia. All right, keep those key. Those are prophetic buzzwords, man. Magog, okay. Babylon the Great. All right, these are the key players, man. Keep your eyes open and peeled always on these two kingdoms, you know, and watch. All right, watch, like Yahweh Shai said. So with that, this is Bishop Sakuran signing off. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Shalawam.